Welcome! So my name is Elizabeth Collinger. I am a rising fourth year at Grinnell College. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am majoring in Spanish and sociology. I am from St. Louis, Missouri. Woo. And one thing I do on campus is Grinnell Singers, which is our choir. I promise I'll talk about that throughout the tour. And one reason that I came to Grinnell was definitely because of the community. I remember studying abroad last semester and thinking how much I miss the people. So it's a really great space to kind of cultivate and grow as a human being, definitely.
Hi everyone, my name is Malia. I'm also a rising fourth year this year. She, hers pronouns, and I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
I'm a double major in biochemistry and anthropology.
And on campus, I'm a part of QuestBridge, so I do some things with the chapter. I came for the community. The people are just so supportive. Also came for the open curriculum because I love that I'm able to explore different things, and it's really great to have that opportunity to kind of see different things and learn different ways of thinking, which I think is awesome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wagih. I'm a rising junior, he, him, his pronouns. I'm from Laughlin, Nevada, and I'm double majoring in economics and computer science. The reason that I came to Grinnell is because I really wanted to attend a school that cared more about its students than its students' money. I also wanted to go to a school that challenged me. You know, being at Grinnell for 2 years, I really think that it fits both of those criteria. Oh, and also I'm a part of the track and field team. I forgot to mention that. All right, without any further ado, we're going to start our tour at the ASFS, or Admission and Student Financial Services building. So this building is actually really new, fully built just last year. I remember my first year I saw this and I joked around with my friends and said that it looks like a ski lodge. But something that you're going to notice with all the buildings here at Grinnell is that none of them look the same. You know, it really makes the campus feel unique. Like I said, it's both the admission and financial services building. The second floor is the financial aid office. Here at Grinnell, we do meet 100% of students' demonstrated financial need. This is just one of the many ways that Grinnell College makes everything accessible to all of its students, and we're really going to highlight that along the tour. All right, so our next stop is going to be the HSSC, or Humanities and Social Studies Center. So this was also fully built just last year. It's committed to humanities and social studies courses. But something that's really cool about this building is that it's actually built around our old humanities and social studies building. So instead of calling it the Humanities and Social Studies Center, we just call it the Husk. But there's lots of really great study spaces here. Something that I really love about the academic buildings at Grinnell is that they're open 24/7 for all students. So I know a lot of people will come in on the weekends with their friends, go into a classroom, play a movie the whole day. I know the Japanese student organization will also sometimes hold karaoke nights in some of the classrooms, so that's really fun. But aside from that, we also have a kitchen inside of the Husk. This kitchen is primarily occupied by language classes. In fact, this was my Japanese class. We were making dorayaki. It's pancake with red bean paste inside of it. It was a really fun time. It was really tasty. But aside from that, something else that's related to this is we have the Institute for Global Engagement inside of the Husk. They're basically the office that oversees all the study abroad plans and helps students plan that out. Here at Grinnell, around 70% of the student body will either study abroad or do some sort of course embedded travel before they graduate. In fact, Elizabeth actually went to Ecuador last year, Malia went to Amsterdam, and I plan on going to Budapest next year. So like I said, a lot of students will do that. But the reason for that is because the financial aid at Grinnell is actually portable. So that basically means you get your financial aid package to help pay for the program that you choose. I've never heard a student here say that the reason they're not studying abroad is because it's too expensive. And like I said, it's just another way that Grinnell College makes things accessible to all of its students. All right, and right across from the Husk is the beautiful Noyce Science Center, which Malia will talk about.
Yeah, so this is Noyce. It's our science center. Fun fact, it's actually named after Robert Noyce, who's a Grinnell alum. He's a co-founder of Intel and a co-inventor of the microchip. So obviously in this space, we have classrooms, but we also have a lot of other really cool spaces. One being the math lab, which is staffed by students, and they're there for other students who need math help or different things like that, which is really great. I used it a lot for my Calc 2 class, so I can personally say it's a great resource. There's also the Science Learning Center, which has tutors, which are free for students. And it also kind of staffs a lot of our mentors. In a lot of our intro classes, they'll have mentors who are students that have taken that class before and are there if you need any help, have any questions, things like that. One really big space that we have is Kistle, which is our science library. It's a little smaller than our main library, but still very nice space. There's lots of resources, lots of study spaces. It's really great. One really cool thing is that printing is free across campus. Kistle has a few printers as well, which is really nice, especially when you need that last minute printing. Really great for that. And one really notorious space that we have in Noyce is the elbow. This is what we call it. There's 2 floors. It's on 2 different floors, which is really cool. There's a lot of study spaces. There's classrooms in there. But one really important thing is that a lot of students will present their research in this area. I've done it a few times, which is really great. You're doing it as early as your intro classes, which is really nice. So a lot of other students, sometimes parents, faculty, staff will come and see your research, which is really, really cool opportunity. All right, and now we're going to talk a little bit more specifically about our classroom. I'm going to hand it off to Elizabeth.
Yeah, so this is one of our many different classrooms in the new Humanities and Social Studies Center. So this is actually in an anthro class. But what's really cool is you can see that, you're going to be working with other students. You're going to know your professor because it is those small class sizes. Here's just another space in the husk with a variety of different ways that, it can function almost as a discussion, lecture. It's really cool, the spaces that we have. As you can see in this older building, Goodnow Hall, really, you're not going to have more than, I want to even say, 25 students in a class. I know that's the case for me. Average class size is about 17 students. It really allows you to meet your classmates, have really awesome and interesting discussions. I remember my tutorial class, which is the first and only required class for first years and anyone in general. And what's really great about it is that you get to bond over a certain interested topic that you guys are all in. So my tutorial was on solitude, and I promise you'll hear about it all throughout this tour. But what's really cool is that we all kind of came in a little nervous, and it was just a great space to kind of really get to know everyone in our class because it was that small scale group of people coming together. Additionally, something that I love is the importance on creating a variety of different learning spaces for Grinnellians. We're not just in the classroom, but maybe we're even outside the classroom, weather dependent, of course. But we also have an observatory, which I promise I will speak to a little bit later. But in other learning styles and getting better at related science things, it's only fit to hand this one off to Malia, literally because she's in the photo.
Yeah, so this is for my biochemistry lab. We were making a gel. It was a great time, great lab, all fun. So yes, our lab spaces I think are pretty great. We've got a lot of different resources, lots of supplies, lots of different equipment. One really great thing is that a lot of your lab spaces will be dedicated to a specific class, so you'll have everything you need kind of right in that space, which is really great. Another thing to mention is that we have lab mentors, which are students who have done that lab before, and they're there to answer any of your questions, provide any assistance, especially if your professor is not available or is helping another student. So it's really great to have that student there for any support you may need. All right, and now I'm gonna hand it off to Wagih to talk about some other cool opportunities.
Yeah, so like Elizabeth said, you're going to get a lot of one-on-one time with your professors, and these really lead to these things that we call MAPs, or Mentored Advanced Projects. Basically, we have 2 different types of MAPs. We have a summer map where a student will stay in Grinnell, Iowa over the summer and help a professor with their research. And we also have a map that students can do throughout the school year, so they can actually propose their own research ideas and get help with that throughout the year. Here at Grinnell, a lot of students will want to go to graduate school after they graduate. I really think that the maps are one of those things that really helps those students get into their top choice graduate schools. I actually have a friend right now who's helping a statistics professor make games in Unity to teach students how to do statistics. That's really cool. But aside from that, these maps are not limited to students who take science classes. In fact, Elizabeth can talk a little more about some humanities maps.
So something that I think is really cool was last summer, one of my friends was here in Grinnell just writing poetry. And this summer, one of my friends is writing a whole musical, which is insane. I've already heard one song and I'm already obsessed. Hopefully I'll get the nod to be one of the characters. We don't know. But seriously, it's so cool to kind of see the variety of ways that you can put your interests to just to have do something as cool as, you know, writing a musical or doing something related to statistics. So another really cool and awesome space a lot of professors and students are using is actually the Conard Environmental Research Area. So this is CERA. This is a 365 restored prairie area land that Grinnell College actually owns. So as you can probably see, some students are using it for bio classes. I actually used it for my tutorial class on solitude. So my professor was like, okay, everyone go spread out. We're just going to be in nature. We're going to come back and write some poetry. So seriously, it's super cool to kind of see the variety of different ways that we're all using and tapping into these amazing resources. So CERA is actually 20 minutes kind of away on I-80, but we'll just kind of pretend like we've instantly come back to the JRC. So this is the JRC, which is the Joe Rosenfield Center. This is definitely the hub of student life. One of the main reasons is probably because it has our one and only dining hall. This is actually the whale room where you might have a meeting. I usually go up on the second floor on Wednesdays to have a Spanish table where I'll be speaking that certain language, which is really cool as well. What's something that I think is really important to mention is that all of our food is cooked in-house. We have a vegan, a gluten-free, halal station, and we also have a nut-free dessert area, which is really helpful for me as a peanut allergy person. But this is a really great way to kind of start off with a work-study grant or anything like that. It's a good place to start with everything. So another awesome food option for Grinnell is the grill. So this is definitely a social hub. I definitely go in here, maybe not as much to study, but just kind of talk with my friends. You'll kind of see in the corner up on the left is actually kind of this grill area. So this is where I'll get some food, maybe some coffee. But it's really just a great space to be kind of with your friends, maybe have office hours with some professors. This actually, you can probably see the flags up on the top. That's actually a representation of at least one student or more from that said country. What's really cool is that those flags are constantly shifting out because we have a variety of different students coming from a variety of different places all around the world. And I think that's super cool being in Iowa. So we're gonna walk up to the second floor. Okay, everyone pretend like you're doing that. And we get to the variety of different multicultural suites that we have here on campus. So this is Soul, which is our Latinx organization's suite. We also have Halutzium, which is our Jewish student organization, Concerned Black Students, CBS, and AAA, which is our Asian American Association's different variety of suites. Additionally, on this floor, we have student government and our newspaper up here. And on the third floor, we also have student affairs and disability resources to help out with anything. Something that I love to also mention on the second floor is the wellness lounge. So not pictured here, but actually is there, are 2 massage chairs. It's a really nice way to just kind of relax and rewind from the day, or wound down from the day. It's just a great space, I think, you know, for those study breaks that you're having. What's great too is that Grinnell is definitely always trying to give students the opportunity to have those study breaks always with food. I promise. That is, if there is anything, there's going to be food. So on the first floor, going back down, you will encounter this one room. It's called the JRC 101. What's really great about this space is that you'll have a variety of different speakers come here from all across the country, and all of these events are free. What I love talking about is just this semester, I went to a talk on why is NASA important? And it was just this week-long physics symposium on space. It was super cool because I got to, you know, talk with literally like a physicist, which was amazing, especially as a Spanish and sociology double major. But beyond that, I got to speak with not only Grinnell College students, but also like community members as well, which I thought was a great event to be at. So we're gonna walk out of the JRC and we stumble upon these swings. What? Crazy. Okay, so I promise there's something, we have a purpose for this, explaining this. So this is actually a representation of student initiatives. So student initiatives are actually a committee that we have, a part of our student government branch. And it's basically like if you see something that we don't have on campus and you'd like to make it happen, we put it on a petition ballot, and if a majority of the student body wants it, we'll try and make it happen. So a few years back, swings was on the ballot, it got passed, and now we have the swings, which is really awesome. But it could range from something as big as swings to something as small as getting those like frosted mini wheats in the dining hall, which I which I helped do. So wow. So I think it's a really cool opportunity. So without further ado, we're gonna walk out of the JRC and head to Macfield, and I'll have Malia talk about it.
Yeah, so obviously in the name, it's literally a giant field that we have kind of in the middle of our campus. It's actually right behind the JRC, which is super nice. So this space is obviously just used for all kinds of different things. We have a lot of our sports teams that will practice here, including Ultimate Frisbee. They practice here, have some events here. It's very cool. A lot of students will also use this space just for studying, hanging out with their friends, getting a group together, just enjoying the sun. Obviously, when it's sunny out, warmer out, much better space for that. But we also have a lot of cool events that happen here. One that happens every year is Holi, which is hosted by the South Asian Student Organization on campus. A very cool event that happens, as well as we have many other different great events that happen on Macfield. And if we were to cut through Macfield, we'd come to the Black Cultural Center, or the BCC. So this is just kind of a community building center to celebrate Black culture. We have 2 student monitors who live here, and they help plan events along with CBS, Concerned Black Students. And one cool thing is that within this space, there's actually a library with literature by Black authors, as well as some art by Black artists. So this is really a space to celebrate Black culture.
So our next stop is going to be the Harris Center. So the Harris Center is our main event space on campus. So many students and staff will come to events here because everything is free, but we actually have a cinema inside Harris that shows a movie every week. We actually have free popcorn and drinks for everyone who attends those as well, so that's really fun. I know last semester we showed both Parasite and Midsummer, and those were very well attended. But aside from that, we also have themed dance parties bi-weekly here. There's so many great ones. We have a Halloween themed one, a disco themed one, a 70s themed one. What I absolutely love about these dance parties is that everyone who comes to them will dress up. So just a really fun place to go with friends. But we also have some annual events being held here. We have the Diwali celebration pictured here. Here at Grinnell, around 19% of our student body are international students. So they have one of the biggest organizations on campus. They host so many great events throughout the year. My personal favorite is the food bazaar. Basically, students from different countries will come together and cook something that represents their country and share it with the rest of the student body. Like Elizabeth said earlier, we love food events here. But aside from that, we have biannual drag shows. We have some talent shows being held here. We also have some on-campus singing groups coming to perform. But yeah, tons of students and staff will come to this place and enjoy some really great events. All right, now we're going to virtually walk on over to the Bear, and Elizabeth will talk about that.
Yeah, so these are our amazingly large student athletic facilities, open and available for all students. It's an amazing space to really just keep up your wellness. There are a variety of different classes for students if they want to take. Shameless plug, my synchro team and I will practice in here and perform. It's just a really great space. So just outside of the actual facilities, we have a Grinnell College owned golf course, which holds a variety of different activities beyond golfing and actual events. Like cross country happen in here sometimes. And there's even an observatory out back for physics students to kind of look up at the stars, which is really cool as well. So when I was literally mentioning like the sheer size of the Bear, like I'm not kidding. So this is actually an Olympic-sized swimming pool, which is an amazing, it's amazing because there's like a sauna, There's a hot tub. It's amazing. So seriously, Olympic-sized swimming pool made for an Olympic-sized swimmer. So this is actually Joshua Tipatemwa, class of 2019, and he actually swam in the Rio 2016 Olympics for Uganda, which is so cool. So woo, exciting, go Grinnell. But also in the Bear, we have a 2-level fitness center dedicated to cardiovascular and strengthening equipment. Also out back and in around the facilities, we have a variety of different fields for our 20 different Division III NCAA teams. This photo right here is very intense, is actually of Jack Taylor. So he is actually known for scoring the most points in a single game. Literally, ESPN knows this, which is pretty insane. But you can look us up, our way of playing, it's called The System. But something that I seriously love about Grinnell is the importance of inclusivity and making it a welcoming space. I think what's cool is that a lot of people can join if they hadn't played in a really long time. I think it's a super fun and inclusive space. I know I love going to cheer on my friends, especially because the events are free, just to go see my friends play. I cannot finish without explaining the Bear without talking about the rock wall, because I actually get to work here, which is an amazing opportunity because I can get all my friends to come, even if they're like, I don't have any experience. It's just a really great space, open for everyone. This is also where I love to mention Grinnell Outdoor Recreation Program, GORP for short, and it's just a really awesome organization that is taking different students to go maybe kayaking, hiking, biking around kind of the Iowa area, which is also really awesome for a lot of students. So we're gonna walk virtually, as Wagih says, to North Campus. So this is North Campus. This is where I've actually lived 2 years because I love it so much. If you've literally gotten any like postcards, like swag from us, you've definitely seen this iconic photo. So this is of Gates Tower. It really is beautiful. It holds a piece of my heart. So this is actually a photo during the Arctic lighting of Gates Tower. What's really cool is that it's just kind of a way that we bring in the winter months. So sometimes we'll even have Grinnell singers, our choir sing, or even G-Tone sing, which is one of the a cappella groups. So you can probably see in this like weird little like awning thing. So that's what that's called a loggia. And I promise we'll explain this because it's very important to us. So also on North Campus, we have the Stonewall Resource Center. This is a safe space for LGBTQI+ students. There are events being held here, recently renovated. This is just a really great space for a lot of students. So let's have Malia take it over and talk about East Campus.
Yeah, so East is our newest set of dorms on campus, so it looks a little bit more modern than our other 2 parts of campus. So, of course, Elizabeth mentioned this, but we take loggias very seriously. You learn about them, I would say, pretty much once you step on campus, especially when it's raining or snowing, so they're very nice. What's nice about the one on East, I think, is that it can be opened or closed, which is nice. So when it's warmer, you can open them, but obviously when it's colder, you can close them and shield yourself from the wind sometimes. But one really nice thing that we like to mention is that laundry across campus is free, but the cool thing about East is that each dorm building has their own laundry. Whereas the other 2 parts of campus, it's kind of like every other, which isn't bad. It's just a little less convenient. So, but nice thing, you can just go down, do your laundry. Super great. All right. And now I'm gonna hand it off to Wagih to talk about our last set of dorms.
Yeah, so I think most students would agree with me when I say South Campus is one of the most lively parts of campus. There's always events going on here, especially during the weekends. But surprise, surprise, my favorite thing about South Campus is the loggia. So South Campus loggia is completely closed. It's such a lifesaver, especially during the winter months, to be able to chill in there and not worry about, the cold weather. But aside from that, there's also a pottery studio within the loggia. They host some really great events. I know last semester I actually went to an event with my girlfriend. I unfortunately kept messing up towards the end and destroying my progress, not once, not twice, but actually 3 times. But, it was a fun experience nonetheless. But aside from that, you all are probably wondering what's inside these beautiful buildings. Well, there are in fact rooms. So we have so many different types of rooms here at Grinnell. We have singles, doubles, triples, quads, co-ops, apartments. As a first year, you would be put into a double unless you have extraordinary circumstances for a single. But as you become an upperclassman, you get more residence options. All the rooms here are also not the same layout. I actually lived in a triple with 2 singles. Elizabeth lived in a room with a sink, which is crazy. But we have a special mention dorm called Norris Hall. So Norris Hall is our only first year only dorm. It's opt-in, so first year students who want to live in that type of environment with other first years can definitely do that. It's also substance free, so each part of campus will have at least one substance free dorm. Basically, that means regardless of age, students are not allowed to bring alcohol into their rooms or their residence hall. So students who want to live in that type of environment can definitely do so. Malia can actually talk a little more about some other opt-in residence programs.
Yeah, so kind of in addition to substance free, we also have some gender specific floors within our dorms. So you can either live on a female only or a male only floor. I personally lived on a female only floor my first year, and it was what I was comfortable with at that point. But I've also lived on a gender inclusive floor. Both are great. It really just depends on what you're comfortable with. But also one thing to mention is that we have CAs, which are community advisors, and they're students that live in your building, and they're there to provide any support, answer any questions, things like that. They're specially trained for a lot of different situations, which is awesome. But they also just throw like really cool events within your dorm, which is super cool. Like Elizabeth said, we love food events. So they throw some pretty great food events, just to know. Um, and now I'm actually going to let Elizabeth talk about some more cool living options we have.
Yeah, so what's really cool is that we have off-campus Grinnell College owned houses. So those include language and project houses. So what's really cool is in those language houses, you'll be speaking that said language in the common area. And what's great is that if you're coming back maybe from studying abroad or you just want to keep up a language, this is totally possible and you really can try and keep up that immersion, which is really cool. Something that's also great is that they're going to be having different all campus events, like cultural events for that said house. So I would go over to Spanish House for different events. It's just a really great space for a lot of students. Additionally, we have a variety of different ways that students can actually petition and apply for, a certain project house. So in the past, there's been Eco Project House. Right now, we have Coding House, Farmhouse, which is really cool because I literally see their farm and I'm like, wow, it looks so beautiful. It's just awesome to kind of see how students can come together over similar interests and live as one in a house, which is really cool. So we're gonna head over now to Main Hall, which is actually kind of on the upper levels. It actually holds dorms, but down below we have Bob's Underground, which is a really cool space where we'll have improv shows, comedy shows. One of my favorites that I even sometimes participate in are different like open mic nights, which is really cool. Speaking on that and like concert related things, so we also have Gardner Lounge, which is on the same basement level floor, and this is where we'll bring in a variety of different diverse artists. I think what's cool is that we have our own concerts committee where we really are bringing in a variety of really cool artists. Not to mention, in the very early stages of Lizzo's popularity, she came to Grinnell before she blew up. So not sure what that means, but maybe it means something. We don't know. But I think that's pretty cool. So let's walk outside of Maine and head over to the Forum.
So this is a building that we call the Forum. It houses a lot of different spaces that we have on campus, being Shaw, which is student health and wellness. They have a lot of really great resources for students. One being that they can actually bring your prescription right to campus, so you don't have to leave campus to go get that. And if you do need to go leave campus, they actually have student drivers who are there to take you to appointments and different things like that, which is super great. We also have ITS, which is Information and Technology Services. We also have the Digital Liberal Arts Lab, which is this space right here. There's a lot of different computer programs, different types of technology that you may not have access to in other ways. You can get it right there, which is really cool. Again, to bring it back, Elizabeth's tutorial used this space in a really cool way. They actually played a game on the computer there called Walden's Pond. Is about transcendentalism. Super cool. Part of her solitude tutorial. Very nice use of the space. And then right next to that, we have the quad, which is another just large kind of field that we have on campus, but a really notable space is the commencement stage where we hold graduation, as well as a lot of other really cool events. One being the Grinnellian, which I think is really cool. It's a student-led music festival. One of my friends actually created a band at Grinnell and they performed there. And it was really cool to see her sing and like just kill it. It was awesome. All right, and now I'm gonna hand it over to Wagih. We're gonna talk about Burling.
Yeah, so Library is our main on-campus library. Lots of students will come here to study. I think the reason for that is because Burling has some really fun and interesting study spaces. One of those is the Jungle Gyms, just a really fun and spacious place to study. We also have lots of team rooms in Burling. There's also an exercise bike with a desk. So, students who are into that can definitely use it. But depending on what floor you're on in Burling, there's different levels of quietness. So the very first floor is a social zone. So sometimes events will be held here. This is where groups will meet. You'll study with your friends here. But as you get to the fourth floor, it gets more silent. It's really nice to be able to go to the fourth floor, especially during finals week when you have lots of work to get through. But the resources at Burling are not limited to books. You can also check out magazines, DVDs. We also have a program where if the library doesn't have something that you need, they'll get it to you within a few days. We also have research desk mentors, basically people there to help students with their research, where to look, how to cite. We also have a writing lab. Basically, you bring in an essay and someone will help you make it better. Personally, a resource that I've used so many times to get better grades on my essays. All right, now Elizabeth is going to talk about Bucksbaum.
So I previously mentioned that I'm in Grinnell Singers, so which is the choir. So I'm really in Bucksbaum Center for Arts all the time. It's definitely like my second home. One of the reasons why I love going here, not only just for different rehearsals or practices, but because we actually have a Grinnell College art museum, which is really cool because it kind of has professional and student showcases happening every so often. And what's really cool is sometimes they'll even have yoga happening in here, which is just great, great. Also in here we have classrooms. So what's really nice is a variety of I remember this semester when we were going online for related COVID stuff, my professor for studio art was like, please take all these materials, like you've got to have them when you go home. And so it was really nice knowing the accessibility that a variety of these different professors were doing. So yeah. Also, just outside of our amazing art museum, we have this. If you're a sucker for acoustics, this is the space for you. This is the rotunda. Oof, I love it. But also remember my amazingly talented musical map friend. That's actually her. But usually this is where Grinnell Singers will be performing, not in the rotunda over there, as you saw in that photo. But our Grinnell Singers performs here, the orchestra, the band. We'll have a variety of different ensembles playing here. It's really cool to see a variety of people come out and support us. So, also something that I absolutely love here at Grinnell is that a variety of students can literally take music lessons for free. So it's a 30-minute music lessons per week, and it's cool because I got to start out playing piano. Didn't work out as well as I thought, but now I've been doing voice lessons, which is a really great opportunity. Additionally, we also have dance studios in here. We also have a variety of different student showcases happening constantly throughout the semester. I think something that's really great and important to mention is that you do not have to be a theater major or music major to participate in all of these. You know, there are some people doing set design. You can see it's a really intricate process. It's amazing to go see my friends, especially for free. You know, I absolutely love that word. But something that's also really cool is that one of my friends had also done some theater and directed actually a play in the community theater in town. So it's really cool to kind of see, yet again, that connection between the town and the community of the Grinnell College students. So let's head over to, also in the same building, Robert Cedar. So this is actually where we had held TEDx Grinnell. It was super cool to like literally go and watch this because I got to hear a lot of wisdom from a lot of Grinnell alumni, which was amazing. Also in this building, in Robert's Theater, we had a CNN town hall with Joe Biden, which is really interesting. As you can tell, it was very well attended. Definitely our school is progressively leaning. It's especially very interesting if you are really interested in political science, kind of understanding this idea of being in a bluish area, and then kind of surrounded by almost this reddish area as well. So let's walk out of Bucksbaum and I'll hand it over to Wagih.
Yeah, so the next building is the JCC, or John Chrystal Center. This actually used to be the old admission building, but it now houses the CLS office, which stands for Career, Life, and Services. They're basically an office there to help students figure out what they want to do after graduation and help them get there. They host so many opportunities and events to link students with alumni and help them achieve their goals. One of those things is internship funding. So if a student finds an unpaid internship that they'd like to pursue, the CLS will actually help cover their living expenses so they can do that. You know, we've mentioned accessibility so many times throughout this tour. This is just another way that Grinnell College helps students. We also have externship programs. Basically, a student will get to live with an alumni for around 2 weeks, learn what they do for a living, and also get a professional connection. In fact, Malia actually got to do that with a doctor, so that's really exciting. They also host these things called treks. They'll take a bunch of students to different cities throughout the country, and you'll get to meet tons of alumni and also learn what they do and get more connections. I know lots of students have actually gone internships through that program, so that's really cool. But aside from that, there's lots of experiences and opportunities that you can bring to the CLS that they'll help make happen. I actually had a friend, his first year, he wanted to go to a sustainability case competition in LA, and he emailed the CLS and they made it happen. And I was fortunate enough to go with him on that. And that was just a really fun experience, especially as a first year. All right, now Elizabeth will talk about our on-campus chapel.
So despite the name Herrick Chapel, this is actually non-denominational, but what's really great is that in the inside we'll normally have speakers come through, Grinnell singers, and like the Grinnell Oratorio Society, which is the community choir, kind of like sang like this massive like piece in here. Also sometimes you'll even have Young Gifted in Black gospel choir perform in here, which is really fun. A big tradition that we have at the very end of new student orientation for first years is the medallion ceremony. So I still have my medallion. I actually put it in my time capsule with my solitude tutorial, buzzword at this point. But seriously, it's really cool just kind of seeing those traditions and using the space as like a nice way to hold events and be with other people. So without further ado, we're gonna head to the CRSSJ and let's have Malia talk about it.
Yeah, so this is what we call the CRSSJ, or the Center for Religion, Spirituality, and Social Justice. So it's really what we want it to be, is a space for anyone to practice their faith or religion or spirituality in any way that they choose. So we have some prayer rooms. We have a Hindu prayer room, as well as a Muslim prayer room, and we also have a foot bath. So it's a really great space for that. We also have some really great resources for low-income students in the CRSSJ, one being the lending library, which is where they can go and check out your textbooks for free every semester, which is really great for students that can't afford that every semester. We also have a student pantry, which has food, toiletries, other small things like that that are for low-income students who maybe can't afford that or cannot go out to town to get that. Which is also a great resource to have. All right, and then at this point, we're gonna, if we were on campus, we would walk back to admission, but unfortunately we cannot be on campus. But we wanna say thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our tour and for hanging out with us for 45 minutes. We really appreciate it.